just wanted to do a video to share a little bit about an experience that I've been having this cycle, and just share how it's been for me. And so this month I have been doing a lot of inner work, a lot of soul work, and really understanding more about my womb, the primordial matter within my womb. I think I even had a dream one night where I woke up having spent the night inside of my womb, and I wrote a very, very powerful poem about what it was like being inside of my womb. And one of the main themes that is coming to me is around the demonization of our sacred cycle, and why it's demonized when our menstrual blood is such a powerful thing, and it's something that we do every month. We bleed in alignment with the cycles of the moon. So if it is something which is harmonizing with nature, why is it still something that is seen to be so negative and seen to be demonized? And so I decided that this month I was going to take a more intimate journey with my cycle, and I just want to share a bit about what it is that I experienced, because it's been a truly liberating experience, an opportunity for me to really get deeper within myself. And so I've been doing a lot of self-work this particular month, and we are in December, so I've been doing a lot of soul work, a lot of connecting with my inner divine feminine power, my inner divine feminine consciousness. And so I'm really going back into the ancient traditions of the woman, the matriarch, before patriarchy, before history, and just looking at some of the sacred traditions and the way in which that we lived and we did things. And I just got a feeling that this particular cycle for me was going to be important, especially because we are in what's called the birthing portal of Orset, which is basically between the 12th of December, which is the 12th gateway, and the 21st of December, which is the winter solstice. It represents Orset, who is the divine feminine, giving birth to the sun, giving birth to her son, which is Horus, which is the divine man. And so on winter solstice, it is the longest night of the year, so to speak, and it represents that birth of that sun. So the days between the 12th and the 21st are all about going into that space of being prepared for birth, going into that space of the womb and the birth canal. So that's what I've been doing. And my cycle came on the 13th of December, the day after I did a 12-12 activation with a group of people on my Facebook page. And funnily enough, part of the meditation, hey Shakina, part of the meditation was about us going into the cosmic womb, the primordial womb, from where we all came from, and reigniting, recoding our DNA to the original divine soul print, our soul's original true blueprint before we came here. And it was as if I felt everybody's intentions inside of my womb. I felt everybody inside of my womb. So the next day, it brought my cycle, which wasn't due yet, but it brought my cycle. And so there was something sacred about this cycle, and I was encouraged by my spirit to just take a few days off, because I was already fasting. Just take a few days off and be just centered in my own self, centered in my own femininity. I chose not to wear any kind of pads or moon cups or anything like that this particular season. My spirit wanted me to just get pure white cloth and to basically use the pure white cloth to collect my blood. And so it's not something that I would normally have done, to be fair, but I would just felt this intimacy with myself, and it was as if my higher self was encouraging my feminine power. And so I decided to do it. And so I bought some white cloth, and I would just fold the cloth and place it on my yoni. And what I noticed first and foremost was just the release of the flow, was just almost as if it was like air. There wasn't that hard pulling or tugging or cramping or anything like that. It just felt like air. It just felt like air. And I just felt very much more intimate. I allowed myself the space to be in my feminine power. So even with my family, I let them know what it was that I was doing, and that, I might not be, that I was just going to take this time for myself, to be fair, that I was going to take this time for myself. And so everybody was in support of that. I also was guided to make a tea, and this tea really, really was the icing on the cake. And I would drink this particular tea during my fast, I'm fasting during the day, so I'm not eating anything during the daytime. But I was drinking this tea, and it was really allowing me to feel relaxed. It was sparking my intuition. My dreams were so much more powerful, and it was almost as if my dreams were lingering around, hanging around for me to be able to remember them and reconnect with them. And so the tea that I made was made from mugwort. I put some Damiana in that tea. There was pure mint leaf, chamomile in the tea, and I also had some blue lotus tincture. And blue lotus is in the body and also as an aphrodisiac, but I was using it more for balancing my masculine and feminine energies. And it was a beautiful tea to drink. I found that I could drink it whether it was hot or it was cold. It was tasty, and it just made me feel really, really relaxed drinking this womb tea. It made me feel so relaxed. As I said, my intuition was sparked. I just felt like I was in an intimate, really deeply intimate space with myself. I also felt like I was the cosmos. I just knew anything, and I just wanted to write, and I wanted to sing. I was doing a lot of singing, doing a lot of creating. Also, after the first day of free bleeding, I suppose, and using the white cloth to collect my blood, what I was doing was anointing my body with the blood as well. And then what I would do is get some spring water and put the white cloth in a jug with the spring water, and just cover it slightly and make sure that the water's warm. And what it would do is draw out the blood from the white cloth. And it really made me think about back in the day when women used to, use these cloths as their sanitary wear. That's all they had. Even in Jamaican culture, when you hear blood clot, that means blood cloth. It was seen as a derogatory thing. But I wasn't feeling that. I was feeling the sacredness of the fact that I had prepared the white cloth. I had to cut them. I had to roll them. I had to place them on my yoni. I then had to wash them and release the blood from them. And then I was able to take the blood and it was mixed with water, so I was able to use it to water my plants. I even took some of it down to the river. I had a blood cloth with me, and I took it down to the river and just washed it in the river, because what happens with our energy, our life force energy, it goes into nature. Our DNA is a part of nature, and I found that my plants just seem more vibrant. They're growing a lot faster, and I'm enjoying the process, the alchemical process of being connected with my body. I've noticed as well, because what the premonition or the pre-thought is that menstrual blood is dirty and that it smells and all these kind of things, but I haven't noticed any of that. I actually fell in love with the smell of my menstrual blood by the third day, because it started to smell like babies. When babies are just born, that's exactly what I smelled like. And I have had 5 babies, so I love the smell of babies. It felt so good to feel conscious about what it was that I was doing. It felt so good to be in tune with myself. I felt like I allowed myself to honor my emotions as well. I think there was only one day where I kind of had this really masculine energy that I just wanted to get things done, and I didn't have any time for any rubbish. And I found that I was communicating in a more straightforward way, and I didn't really have any time for bullshit. However, in hindsight, we do all need a bit of that. And so I understood in this moment how energetic our cycles can be. And a lot of the times why we get the PMS and the cramping is because we're not utilizing the energy properly. Also, mentally and emotionally, I was prepared for this cycle. I do remember times where I've had lots of things going on and I've not been prepared for my cycle, and my cycle would be quite heavy, or I'd be feeling quite crampy because of that energy. That I find that energy of either aggression or not going into myself, or anger or suppression of my emotions, causes my cycle to be heavier and to be longer. With this particular cycle, it was a beautiful experience. That's the main thing that I can say. It was a beautiful experience. When I would check myself, I wouldn't smell any dirty odors. It was clean. It was beautiful. The blood was rich and it was red. I did a yoni steam before, and I'll do a yoni steam after as well. And I just felt like it was a beautiful experience. And me washing my own blood cloths every day was a beautiful experience for me as well, because I realized how much power is in my blood. And so the fact that it's being collected and thrown in the bin doesn't sound good to me anymore. No longer does that sound like something I want to do with something so sacred. You know, it's one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And what I have also understood is that back in the days where women and men understood the power of a woman, right? A woman would use her sacred menstrual blood to protect her man. She would either put it in a vial and he would have it around him. It was one of the most powerful forces on the planet before iron. And what I found was very interesting is because a lot of the ancestors that I work with, they came before the Iron Age. So everything is to do with nature. And the Iron Age is the time where you see the separation between the spiritual world, the spiritual beings, and man, the spiritual beings and humanity. If you look at Maleficent, it shows you that the iron is what was able to harm those spiritual beings. And so I believe that that also is in maybe connected to us and our feminine power in some way. You know, that before iron, our power, our blood was the most powerful force on this on this planet, and was used for protection and used for healing and used for growing things and alchemy and all these things. And so as history has progressed, we've lost that sacred understanding of our sacred cycles, and it's become something that has become demonized until we're kind of robbed of the opportunity and gift of really dipping into this powerful sacred energy that we have. And so part of this self journey was all about being able to eradicate some of the subconscious programming that we have around our cycles and the demonization of our cycles and our sacred blood. And also to have an opportunity to have an experience with myself in a deeply intimate way. And I feel like it was very powerful. As I said, it really opened up my creative centers. It allowed me to really be in my true femininity. I found that I was very directive. I was very clear, very creative. The ideas were just coming. And not just ideas like fanciful ideas. I was also able to take those ideas and now make them tangible and prioritize and do a plan, which for me as an air sign is not always easy to do. I have loads of ideas, but not always able to put them into the structure and strategy that's needed to manifest it. Before I had my cycle, I also had a moment where I was feeling this deep connection to my body, and I'd come home from an event and I just looked at myself in the mirror, took my clothes off and looked at myself in the mirror, and, you know, just started to connect with my body. And I was able to have a very, very powerful experience. Now, it wasn't masturbation. It was connecting with my energy. When I was touching myself with my eyes closed, it was as if my skin felt like stars. Like every touch that I touched on myself felt like stars. And it really helped to give me a deeper connection and understanding of, you know, the power of feminine energy, the beauty of a woman and the sacred power of the touch. And also the power that we hold as sacred women. We hold a specific power that can create and can destroy. It can mesmerize people, you know, and we have to learn to master that energy. I mean, it's no wonder that they feared the woman, because we have so much power. And I suppose that if that power is not mastered and not understood and not utilized in the right way, then it can become destructive. So I really believe that the rebirth of the divine feminine is all about us really reconnecting with our divine feminine power and what it means to be goddesses, what it means to be women, and to eradicate some of the programming and societal constructs around our sacred circles. I am going to be building healing villages in Africa and the West Indies, and part of what I want in these healing villages is sacred spaces for women when they're on their cycle, that they can leave their family and come together, you know, like sweat lodges and red tents, and just come together and be in their sacredness. They can use their sacred time for intuiting, for divining, for creating, for planting, for doing all of these great things and being together in sisterhood. And men also have a cycle. They have the cycle at the new moon, which is usually more energetic and emotional. So at that time, they would also have a sacred space for them to enjoy their natural rhythm, because, you know, we are connected to this planet as within, so without. Everything is connected. And so when we do the work on our inner realms, when we get a deeper connection with who we are inside, we start to understand the universe. We start to understand the cosmos. We start to understand nature. We start to understand how everything works. And then that's how we become the masters. That's how we become the gods and the goddesses, the creators and the creatrixes, by understanding the sacred science of nature, our body, our cycles, and learning how to master that sacred gift so that we can manifest greatness and healing, not only in our lives, but in the lives of others as well. So, yeah, I just wanted to share this experience, obviously, in this group and with everybody who's watching this video. I'd like to know about your own experiences, whether you've had any, interest in wanting to build a deeper connection with your menstrual blood or understand more about your menstrual cycle, whether you've tried using plant medicines or herbs during your cycle and what effect that has brought for you. And I encourage you all to just take your own journey and explore, because it is a step into uncovering the sacred power of your feminine energy and your sacred womanhood. And so, I just wanted to share that with you. So I'm sending love of the highest vibration. Please do comment. I'd like to know your feedback and your opinion and your own experiences as well. But thank you for those who have tuned in, those watching. I appreciate you. Thank you.